Hey everybody, Brian from Audiohead here. This is the long-awaited Beats Solo 2 review. I've said on my website, and I'll say it again here, I'm not too experienced with the Beats lineup. Unfortunately, my experience with them is very limited. I haven't really listened to too many of the previous models, like the Solo HDs. The Solo 2 here is a replacement for the HD. It's roughly around $200. You can find it online for a little bit less than that. But I have it here, so I thought I'd give you guys my thoughts on the subject. The Beats Solo 2 is a closed back on the ear model, so it does not go fully around the ear, rather it rests on the ear specifically. It comes in a variety of colors. It also comes with controls for Apple and on and off for Android inline. The cable actually, surprisingly, is quite unique in that it matches the color of the headphone, at least in the case of this blue one. Additionally, it also matches the color and the color and the texture of the padding on the top of the headphone, which is pretty nice, in that it is like leather-ish, like a soft, like to the touch, but also kind of very padded plastic type of rubbery plastic. So, believe it or not, I was kind of impressed with that material because it obviously feels fairly durable and also cushiony, so that's a big bonus. And that same kind of coating is a similar texture with the cord that is detachable and also surprisingly is a little bit shorter than a lot of other audiophile style headphones. So the cord is a little bit shorter, but if you're just running it to your pocket, you should be fine. I think a lot of the audiophile headphones are longer cords because they have to run to a separate amplifier or stereo somewhere off in the distance, where the longer cord kind of becomes more useful. And so the headband itself, the clamping pressure inward is quite significant. I found it to be a little tight on my head, but my head is a little bit larger, admittedly. It's a little bit bigger, but it was quite tight. So it wasn't really uncomfortable. It just might be slightly fatiguing over long listening sessions. But, I mean, it's still workable. It's not the heaviest, but it's by far not the lightest pressure on the head I've experienced. This headphone also is retractable. You can fold it up into a smaller travel-like pouch. There is a hinge that bends inward to make this thing kind of just like a little small movable travel piece that fits in the matching carrying case. There has been some worry online that the hinge breaks over time, but if you're pretty careful with your audio stuff, as I am, I don't think you might have an issue with this at all. You know, any type of physical hinge obviously can wear down with time, but this one feels really sturdy initially. It clicks in very well. And to be honest with you, compared to a lot of hinges on a lot of the headphones I've seen, these actually feel quite good. So there is that. In terms of sound, so this is where things start to get a little tricky because this headphone is quite polarizing. It's a very popular one. A lot of people like it. First and foremost, this is supposed to be an update to a higher clarity standard over the HD line according to the company's copy. So the drivers have been redone from the Solo HD, and they were shooting for clarity in part of that projection. So what do they really sound like to my ears? First and foremost, again, very bassy as you might expect. There's a bass forward signature to the headphone that is very far from neutral. So if you're more of an audiophile guy or someone who likes a more flat response, and that's not to say it doesn't have good extension and robust slam and really fun characteristics, but rather this is a straight inflation of bass, so it's not neutral. With the inflated bass, I do think that it has a pretty good, fun texture to it, and the boost itself is quite fun to listen to, with like a nice low-end grip at the very bottom, which is fun. I think it adds a little more robustness, a little more thump kind of feel to it. So the bass itself is fun sounding, however inflated. But the problem really starts to happen, for me at least, when you move up into the mids. The mids, they're right by the low end base, so the lower mids seem to be a little bit recessed. Overall, mid clarity I found to be not so bad for the price point. The vocals are very clear, and things sounded to a good degree with a higher fidelity than my expectations for $200. But moving into the treble, I did kind of occasionally get a waft, scent of some weird texture, like anomalies of texture. So it wasn't exactly my favorite in the treble region either. However, for the price, and if you like bass, this is a headphone that some might consider a match for them. Again, if those aren't your qualities, then perhaps you want to look at another option. But this is a polarizing headphone. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of love for it out there on the internet. And for $200, it's a respectable kind of attempt, I think, at Beats to kind of at least get there. I think there are more clear options, more neutral options out there in this range. Beats is one of the few headphones that is permeated throughout so many retail establishments across the nation. So if you want to go out there and give it a listen and try it on, you have that opportunity to do so, and that's not something you can do with every headphone. So this is like so hey, if you go out there, you have the opportunity to go actually physically put this on and listen to it for yourself. I suggest you do so to see if that's kind of your cup of tea, because that's not something you can do with all the high-end stuff. They're hard to find. You have to go to audio shows or a dealer, and even then sometimes they're not widely available on display. So this headphone, you don't have to take my word for it. You can go form your own opinion and listen to it at any store and say, hey, this is good. Relatively speaking, though, those are kind of how it lays in the landscape and compared to other things out there. So anyways, this is the Beats Solo 2 review. Thanks, guys.